The real reason King Charles agreed to 50-minute meeting with Prince Harry met with his father King Charles in a short 50-minute visit in September, making it the first face-to-face visit since 2024 amid strained relationships. Prince Harry met with his father King Charles once this year during a short visit that lasted a mere 50 minutes. While there was speculation the Duke of Sussex had set up the meeting himself, his publicist was the one who set the get-together up. Meredith Mains, who was appointed at the end of 2024 to lead the press and media operations for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, has announced she is stepping down from the role after just a year working for the couple. It'll come as a blow to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle after Mains becomes the 11th PR officer in just 5 years to have left their employments with the Sussexes. Mains was seen meeting the King's press secretary, Tobin Andrea, in July, a move which is believed to have paved the way for Harry to briefly see his father in September. It was their first face-to-face meeting since February 2024. These secret talks were held at a private members' club just minutes from Clarence House, and have been tipped as a crucial, first step, in what insiders believed could be a rapprochement process between the estranged Sussexes and the rest of the royal family. Also in the secret meeting was Liam Maguire, who heads up the Sussexes' UK PR team, as the trio held what one insider described as informal drinks in the scorching sunshine on the club's garden terrace. A source close to the situation told Mail Online, there was no formal agenda, but both sides came to the table ready to talk. It's the first real channel of communication we've seen in years. Mains, dressed in a sleek cream jacket, heels, and clutching a black Louis Vuitton bag, reportedly jetted back to the Sussexes' £15 million Montecito mansion straight after the summit, where it's thought she gave Harry a full briefing. Buckingham Palace confirmed that the King had a private tea with Hisson, the Duke of Sussex, during a visit to the royal residence that lasted about 50 minutes in September. Afterwards he said of the King, "Yes, he's great," in response to reporters' questions. Prince Harry had spoken emotionally in a BBC interview in May about wanting to rebuild relationships, saying, "I would love a reconciliation with my family." The last time that they were together was soon after the King's cancer diagnosis last year, with Prince Harry flying to the UK for a brief meeting. There have been visits to the UK by the Prince since then, including for court cases, but he had not seen his father, in what has seemed a sometimes difficult relationship. A source close to Mains told ITV News she had quit a few weeks ago, having decided it was time to go. The source added that Mains had accomplished a lot this year with the Sussexes and has been helping the couple with the transition period. The PR executive is understood to have a new career opportunity which will be announced in the coming weeks. There has been some chat among some the Sussex team that Mains was not the right fit as she had a venture capital and tech background, but sources close to the former communications chief pointed to her past experience with the Hulu streaming platform, owned by Disney, and denied her professional background was not suited to Harry and Meghan's needs. Mains had previously authorized an interview Harry did after his court defeat that was widely criticized. It was thought to have further deepened the rift with his family after he spoke about Charles' cancer diagnosis. Mains' deputy, Liam Maguire, who is based in the UK and was predominantly focused on Prince Harry's work, has been asked to step up as Chief Communications Officer for both the Duke and Duchess. Should William strip Harry Meghan's titles when he becomes king? Take our poll and have your say. With the rift between the Sussexes and the royal family still ever present, royal watchers have long speculated what lies in store for Harry and Meghan when William ascends the throne. Prince William and Prince Harry have been estranged for several years, with their relationship reportedly souring in the years and months before the Duke and Duchess of Sussex quit their royal duties in 2020. After Harry and Meghan relocated to the United States, the relationship between the royal brothers deteriorated. As the Duke and Duchess of Sussex started to unleash secrets and allegations against the royal family, starting with their bombshell Oprah interview in 2021, it was reported that William cut off all contact with his brother. The public jabs against the firm from Harry and Meghan continued, with their Netflix docuseries and Harry's memoir Spare. Harry himself has acknowledged the impact of his public barbs against his family, telling the BBC earlier this year that some members of my family will never forgive me for what he said about how he and Meghan were treated when they were working royals. While the couple still hold their titles of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex despite not being working royals, the public have occasionally called for Harry and Meghan to be stripped of their titles amid their public airing of the royal family's secrets. One source told Hello magazine that there is zero trust, as the family believes private conversations with Harry are not possible. Even someone sympathetic to Harry admitted to the publication, "He sees things everywhere. He picks battles with everybody and that's tiring. You can't live in permanent battle mode. You're a 40-year-old man. You've got to stop fighting the world." Despite the years-long rift, Harry moves to make amends this year when he met with his father King Charles for a private tea in Clarence House during a brief trip to the UK for the Well Child Awards. While Harry had less than an hour with his father, headed not see William during the whirlwind trip to his home country. Rumors have long claimed that William has no interest in seeing Harry due to the claims he made in Spare, which also called out Princess Kate. As Harry made numerous allegations that the Prince and Princess of Wales were less than welcoming to Meghan Markle, William seems to be keeping his distance for the foreseeable future. This begs the question of what will happen to Harry and Meghan's royal titles when William inevitably becomes king. While stripping a royal of their titles is not simple, it is definitely possible, as has been recently demonstrated with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. William has spoken candidly about his plans for when he ascends the throne, telling Eugene Levy earlier this year during an appearance on The Reluctant Traveller that change is on the horizon. Given how personal the feud seems, you have to wonder, would William strip their titles out of principle? It's almost hard to believe how far Harry and William have drifted apart, considering how close they once were. For years, the brothers were each other's rocks, famously bonded by the tragedy of losing their mother, Princess Diana, in 1997, when they were just 15 and 12. They went through thick and thin together, royal engagements, military service, and of course, the pressures of growing up in the public eye. But things have certainly changed. For now, we can only speculate. But with Harry still battling over security in the UK and the family reportedly unwilling to budge, the gap only seems to be widening. And if that's the case, the Sussex titles might not be so safe under King William's reign. Queen Camilla voices fury over Hunt family murders and praises their bravery. Camilla has heaped praise on BBC racing commentator John Hunt-Ondi's family for their courageous fight after John's wife and two daughters were brutally killed. Queen Camilla has praised the courage of BB cracking commentator John Hunt and his family, after his wife Carol and two daughters, Louise and Hannah, were killed by Louise's ex-partner. The Queen spoke to John and his surviving daughter Amy during a discussion on violence against women on BBC Radio 4's Today programme, as she told the grieving family she had been so angry and furious about the attack, which was first reported in a book earlier this year. The conversation, which took place at Clarence House, formed part of a wider discussion about combating sexual and domestic violence, and the power of talking about experiences and trauma. Camilla said, "I was so furious about it, and when the subject about domestic abuse came up, and suddenly you hear a story like John and Amy's, it's something that I feel very strongly about." The interview focused on the grief and strength of the Hunt family and their determination to protect the memory of Carol, Louise and Hannah, who were all murdered by Kyle Clifford at their family home in Hertfordshire, in July 2024. "It remains really difficult on a minute-by-minute basis," Mr. Hunt said. "You have to try and find the strength in our position to arm yourself with as many tools as possible that are going to help you get through that next hour." Mr. Hunt, his daughter and Queen Camilla all agreed that further education is key to ensuring the safety of women, and they all shared concern about the online radicalization of young men. As Amy said, "Unfortunately, it's something that largely goes unchecked. It's somewhat allowed to run rampant." Queen Camilla spoke about her tireless work with victims of domestic violence and said the focus had to be on ensuring young men do not become abusive partners as adults. As she said, They may have had parents or relatives who've been abusive or done terrible things to them. So they're almost brought up to believe that it's a natural thing to do. But if you can get them early enough and teach them respect for women, I think that's so important to get into schools. And the more I look at it, it's the most important thing we can do now. Elsewhere during the interview, Camilla spoke for the first time about an attack she faced on a train as a teenager, before fighting back. Camilla fought off a pervert who tried to grope her by whacking him in the groin with her shoe. The Queen recalled getting off the train as her mum asked, "Why is your hair standing on end and why is the button missing from your coat?" Camilla said she replied to her mother, "I had been attacked." Camilla had been 16 or 17 when the horror sex attack happened while on a train to Paddington in the 1960s. Camilla said she had been on her way to meet her mum when this boy, man, attacked me, but the Queen I did fight back. She added, "I remember something that had been lurking in the back of my brain for a very long time. That, when I was a teenager, I was attacked on a train. I remember at the time being so angry." The Queen added that she was inspired to tell her story about the sexual assault experience after being inspired by the Hunt family's bravery. Queen Camilla speaks about horror train attack, where she fought off Groper as teen. For first time the Queen opened up for the first time about a horror sex attack where she fought off a pervert on a train to Paddington when she was just a teenager. Queen Camilla has spoken for the first time about an attack she faced on a train as a teenager, before fighting back. Camilla, 78, fought off a pervert who tried to grope her by whacking him in the groin with her shoe, a book claimed. The Queen recalled getting off the train as her mum asked, "Why is your hair standing on end and why is the button missing from your coat?" Camilla said she replied to her mother, "I had been attacked." Camilla had been a 16 or 17 when the horror sex attack happened while on a train to Paddington in the 1960s. Speaking on a special program today on BBC Radio 4's Today, the Queen opened up about the incident for the first time. Camilla said she had been on her way to meet her mum when this boy, man, attacked me, but the Queen I did fight back. She added, "I remember something that had been lurking in the back of my brain for a very long time. That, when I was a teenager, I was attacked on a train. I remember at the time being so angry." Camilla sat down with BB Cracking commentator John Hunt, whose wife Carol and two daughters, Hannah and Louise, were murdered by Kyle Clifford, at the family's home in July 2024, and his surviving daughter Amy. Clifford had been Louise's ex-boyfriend and was sentenced to a whole life order in March, after pleading guilty to their murders and raping Louise. The Queen said she was inspired by John's courage and that led to her opening up about her attack. Camilla said, "I was so furious about it, and, when the subject about domestic abuse came up, and suddenly you hear a story like John and Amy's, it's something that I feel very strongly about." The shocking incident was first reported in Valentine Lowe's book Power and the Palace. It was claimed a man touched the future Queen before she hit him with the heel of her shoe. Upon arrival at the train station, she then found a uniformed officer and reported the attack. The man was then arrested, according to the book. Buckingham Palace made no official comment at the time these claims were published by the Queen has spoken about it now. Amy Hunt, after hearing Camilla's story, said, "Thank you for sharing that, Your Majesty. It takes a lot to share these things because every woman is a story." The interview focused on the Hunt family following the horror tragedy that was inflicted on them. John said, "It remains really difficult on a minute-by-minute basis." They also sat down with former Prime Minister Baroness May and Today program's Emma Barnett at Clarence House for the important episode. Princess Beatrice and Eugenie have royal role. Prince Harry wanted, expert claims. A royal correspondent claims Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie have achieved the royal role that Prince Harry originally wanted but was denied by the royal family. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie possess the thing that Prince Harry wanted as they navigate a challenging year, according to a royal correspondent's assessment. The year 2025 has witnessed their father Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor embroiled in successive scandals which ultimately resulted in the King's brother being stripped of his Prince and Duke of York titles alongside his military honors. This development placed Eugenie and Beatrice in an extremely awkward situation as they remained devoted to their father whilst continuing to enjoy King Charles' favour. Royal correspondent for 5 News, Simon Vigor, suggests they find themselves in a fascinating predicament because they operate as half-in half-out working royals. Precisely the arrangement their cousin Harry originally desired. During an appearance on the Sun's Royal exclusive podcast on YouTube, he remarked, "It's been a devastating year for them. A devastating year for the girls, I would have thought. They're in an interesting position because they do public engagements, but they also have their private work and their private lives," reports The Express. They're sort of half in half out, actually the thing that Harry wanted. Beatrice and Eugenie aren't full-time working royals, so they don't quite have the public exposure that the others do. Simon continued by suggesting that both Beatrice and Eugenie will prove crucial to Prince William and Princess Kate once the heir to the throne ascends to kingship. It's believed that William advocates for a more streamlined monarchy. The royal correspondent noted, "It's slimmed down all by itself, hasn't it? But they're going to need help in the public jobs they do." When Harry and Meghan Markle initiated the Megxit process in January 2020, they expressed their intention to divide their time between the UK and North America, representing the monarchy on a limited basis. However, their half-in, half-out plan was ultimately rejected by the royal family, leading to the announcement that they would no longer serve as working members of the firm. Speculation arose about Princess Beatrice's Christmas plans, with some reports suggesting she might leave the UK with her husband Edoardo Mappelli Mozzi and their children, Sienna, 4, and 11-month-old Athena. In the end, both Beatrice and Eugenie journeyed to Sandringham to celebrate Christmas with the rest of the royal family, while it's believed their father spent the festive period alone at Royal Lodge. This unexpected turn of events surprised royal experts, with the Sun's royal editor Matt Wilkinson commenting on the episode aired on Christmas Eve. "The king is very fond of Eugenie and Beatrice. And they've kept their HRH. And they've been insulated from the crisis. They are genuinely cared for. We believe that Beatrice won't go to Royal Lodge to see Andrew for Christmas, but she also won't go to see the king. She doesn't want to look like she's taking sides." Palace accused of royal cover-up as Andrew papers withheld from National Archives. The Cabinet Office has been accused of covering up for the royal family after official papers relating to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor were withheld from the National Archives. The Cabinet Office has been accused of covering up on behalf of the royal family after it emerged that official papers referring to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor were withheld from the National Archives. The annual release of a series of government papers to the archives in Kew, West London, under the 20-year rule included Anno 10 file from 2004 and 2005 on royal visits. The version of the papers that were originally made available to the media under embargo included minutes of a meeting where officials discussed the travel plans of various royals 2 decades ago, including the then Prince Andrew. However, the embargoed minutes were subsequently redacted from the file before it was made available to the public. The Cabinet Office, which is responsible for transferring the files to the National Archives, blamed an administrative error as the papers had never been intended for release. The retention of the minutes also underlines how files relating to the royal family are routinely withheld from release under the Public Records Act. A spokesman for the Cabinet Office said, "All records are managed in line with the requirements of the Public Records Act. Any release is subject to an extensive review process, including engaging expert stakeholders." However, Graham Smith, chief executive of anti-monarchy campaign group Republic, said there was no justification for withholding the documents, especially since Andrew has been stripped of his royal status amid continuing controversy in connection with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Mr. Smith said, "There should be no royal exemption at all. But this exemption surely doesn't apply to Andrew now he's no longer a royal. The most likely reason for this attempt to stop disclosure is pressure from the palace. The royals have sought to keep everything under wraps when it comes to Andrew, not to protect him but to protect themselves. The royals are one of the most secretive institutions in the UK. These documents should be released without fear or favor, to allow the public to make informed judgments about the royals. Amid the scandals and allegations over his connection to Epstein, Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing and strenuously denies all allegations against him. The minutes, which were seen by select journalists before they were pulled from the file, are reportedly unexceptionable. According to PA Media, the papers include discussion by senior palace and Foreign Office officials about his travel plans as a UK trade envoy, which earned him the nickname Air Miles Andy, with visits to China, Russia, Southeast Asia and Spain. Officials also raised the issue of whether the Football Association would be prepared to pay for him to attend the Euro 2004 tournament in Portugal as a royal representative. It was noted that a change to the rules for royal travel meant that his visits as a trade envoy would in future be funded by the Royal Travel Office, rather than UK Trade and Industry, which would have to find an additional £90,000.